2000多年，他如何教菩萨法？没有气，只要有一点力，我也要把最后的一口气要挤出来。不管怎么样，我都要坚持把《法华经》讲完。
20为爱坚持。
On January 1st, 2018, Dai TV celebrated its 20th anniversary. In 1998, Dai TV was launched.
大爱让世界亮起来。
Many senior members of the media were invited to the celebration event. Dai TV's leading executives also shared their vision for the station.
念兹在兹的是要净化人心，
变成主流的清流媒体，
绝对是真实的，没有夸大，对不对？而且很感动。
Throughout the years, be it dramas, news, or programs, Dai TV has been striving for excellence and living up to Dharma Master Zhengyan's words spoken on the day the TV station went into service.
一直努力到人人的心有这个清泉，这是开台的那一天我说的话。将心比心，付出远不回，要落实接近人，给需要的人甘甜。
On February 6, 2018, close to midnight, a magnitude 6.0 earthquake rattled Hualien in eastern Taiwan. In an instant, 4 buildings collapsed. Rescuers raced against time to free survivors from the rubble. In Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital, over 100 doctors and nurses rushed back to duty. Tzu Chi members at their headquarters in Hualien immediately prepared hot meals and drinks and delivered them to people taking refuge in shelters. In shelters, Tzu Chi volunteers quickly set up portable beds. Concerned about the affected areas, Master Zhengyan went to inspect the damage in person. Relief supplies poured into Hualien. Tzu Chi volunteers from other parts of Taiwan all gathered in Hualien to bring comfort to those affected. A concert was also held to support Hualien.
地震那天，我姐姐人正在花莲，她告诉我，他们一路受到慈济人的关怀以及陪伴，而且越晚慈济人越多。所以今天我带着一颗感恩的心，要来谢谢所有的慈济人。
People across the world prayed for Hualien. Tzu Chi members in 35 countries and regions also fundraised for the quake survivors. In March, Tzu Chi recycling volunteer leaders from around the world gathered in Taiwan to exchange their experiences. All around the world, over 100,000 Tzu Chi recycling volunteers collect and sort recyclables every day. In Fujian, China, the residents of a village especially set up a recycling station to promote recycling.
这都是宝啊，这都是宝啊！没有了地球，它也还能有人吗？
In April, Mount Kilauea volcano in Hawaii erupted. Soon afterwards, U.S. Tzu Chi volunteers set out to bring care and give out cash cards to those affected.
I just wanted to express to everybody.
In fact, the U.S. volunteers' areas of support cover the entire Americas. For example, after Puerto Rico was struck by Hurricane Maria in 2017, the volunteers held a 5-day distribution to give out aid to those affected.
Wonderful program, and I appreciate a lot.
In Ecuador, be it the earthquake in 2016 or the flooding in 2017, the U.S. volunteers were there to help, inspiring many locals to become Tzu Chi volunteers.
Cuando creíamos que lo habíamos perdido todo, pero ellos nos dieron como un aliento para poder seguir adelante.
Y luego retornar esos recursos en algún tipo de ayuda para alguien que lo pueda necesitar.
De qué raza, de qué color, de qué lengua y de qué religión, porque todos somos una familia.
In Guatemala, after the Fuego volcano erupted, Tzu Chi volunteers reached out to help.
Feliz, contenta y agradecida y que Dios me los bendiga.
Una visita que se va a pasar mímica ahí, va a ser para que vengan. Okay. Estamos muy agradecidos con ustedes. Que Dios me los bendiga.
Gracias. Gracias.
In April, Tzu Chi volunteers in Mozambique gave out vouchers to those affected by a rubbish dump collapse back in February. On their way to a shelter to provide care, the volunteers' truck broke down, but they moved on by foot. Apart from material aid, the volunteers also provided emotional support. In 2018, Tzu Chi volunteers in South Africa set foot in Malawi for the very first time to bring care to those in need.
Taiwan is something like 15,000 kilometers. That's a very long distance just to come here to extend your love.
The locals were very grateful.
Tinamva bwino kwambiri. Tinasangalala kwa basi chifukwa cha kubwera iwo. Apakali pano pa kwaona iwo apakali pano pa ife tilisangalala.
With this Tzu Chi, I hope we'll do more and we'll be able to reach as many as people as we can.
Malawi became the 97th country in the world that Tzu Chi has brought aid to.
As a Tzu Chi member, I'm volunteering myself to go at Jumombe and help people there.
In Zimbabwe, where water resources are scarce, Tzu Chi volunteers help to repair broken wells in several communities. Since 2012, Tzu Chi volunteers in South Africa and Lesotho have been visiting Botswana regularly to bring care to the needy.
Tzu Chi can change everything.
The volunteers also go to Eswatini to train local volunteers and help the poor and the ill.
我这一群离我好遥远、好遥远的，在生活上苦难的弟子，可是他们呐，跟着师父的精神能量， 是多么甜呀
！In May, Tzu Chi members held bowing pilgrimages to honor the 52nd anniversary of Tzu Chi. 10 years ago in May, Cyclone Nargis devastated Myanmar. Tzu Chi was the first NGO to receive the Myanmar government's permit to carry out relief for those affected. To help farmers recover from the disaster, Tzu Chi gave out rice seeds in 29 farming villages in the worst-hit area. To pay back, a farmer saved up a handful of rice from every meal to help the needy. Another farmer also took up the practice and has inspired over 600 people in several villages to follow suit. To donate to Tzu Chi, a farmer saved 50 Myanmar dollars every day. He even ironed the bills so they wouldn't get damp. Also in Myanmar, Tzu Chi provided aid to a non-profit center set up by a local Dharma master for the homeless and the ill. Seeing how dilapidated their living conditions were, Tzu Chi built temporary housing for the residents. In 2008, Sichuan, China was hit by a major earthquake. 2 days later, Tzu Chi volunteers were there to help. In a little over 2 years, Tzu Chi helped rebuild 13 schools. 10 years later, the locals are still very grateful.
16岁的我看到了除了落水以外很美好的世界。所以我很想念当年的那些师姑师伯，真的很想念你们。
In May, to honor Buddha Day, Mother's Day, and Tzu Chi Day, Tzu Chi volunteers held Buddha Day ceremonies in 37 countries and regions around the world. Over 350,000 people attended the events. The ceremony in Hualien marked the beginning of Tzu Chi's Buddha Day ceremonies in Taiwan and around the world. In Taipei, over 26,000 people attended the ceremony. A drum and bell performance was also presented. The Buddha Day ceremonies were also held in other parts of the world, including Myanmar, Indonesia, Singapore, Haiti, Sri Lanka, Ecuador, and Mozambique. In Ormoc, in the Philippines, after a downpour turned the ceremony site into a muddy field, the volunteers worked together to fill up the flooded parts. They used bottle caps as ground markings and secured them with recycled nails. On the day of the ceremony, a man brought the bananas he grew as a gift to Tzu Chi. In 2018, Tzu Chi Malaysia turned 25 years old. Over the years, Tzu Chi Malaysia has been providing free dialysis to patients in need. supporting students from poor families with tuition aid, and setting up kindergartens to nurture the young generations. In Sabah, there's a community of wooden stilt houses where 2/3 of the residents are undocumented immigrants. Due to their status, the children cannot go to school.
Saya kasihankan adik-adik saya mencari duit, pergi pungut botol.
Tengok orang belajar. Ingat mama.
Worried about the children's future, Tzu Chi volunteers set up a learning center to provide them with free education.
Suci itu adalah bersih dalam bahasa Melayu Islam. Suci, ikhlas.
Bantu orang yang tidak pandai membaca.
Mereka ada masa depan, mungkin yang lebih cerah atau cita-cita yang tidak akan patahkan semangat mereka lah.
With education, the children are able to see hope for their future. In June, Tzu Chi volunteers in Europe went to Portugal again to give out aid to those affected by the wildfires in 2017.
Why people from the other side of the world are concerned with our problems in Sudan?
My own home, with my family, with my kids, try and help. If we all help a little.
这个希望的根苗就慢慢地燃烧起来。
Many locals are inspired to give.
Your contribution yourself, at that time, you feel very happy. Casas, fazendas, celeiros e silos dos agricultores foram engolidos pelas chamas e estes precisaram de ajuda.
The volunteers in Europe also care for refugees stranded in Serbia and provide them with breakfast and dinner every day.
Tzu Chi is part of all our efforts, and Tzu Chi is of our family.
For years, the volunteers have been working closely with Serbia's local commission for refugees. Ever since the Syrian civil war broke out in 2011, over 350,000 lives have been lost and almost 12 million people displaced. "15-year-old Najwa lost her legs in a bombing, as well as all of her 13 family members. Since 2014, Tzu Chi volunteers have been caring for the Syrian refugees in Turkey. In 2015, Tzu Chi further set up a school for the Syrian children to receive an education, including Najwa. In July, a dam in Laos collapsed, sending flash floods through its neighboring villages. Tzu Chi members from Taiwan soon arrived to help produce clean water for the villagers.
他们既然遭遇到困难了，我们伸出援手，我认为是应该的。
The dam collapse in Laos also affected Cambodia. Tzu Chi volunteers quickly gave out bread to those affected. In 2018, Tzu Chi Hong Kong celebrated its 25th anniversary. The other Tzu Chi chapter that also turned 25 in 2018 is Singapore. In the 7th lunar month, Tzu Chi volunteers held prayer concerts across Taiwan to promote vegetarianism and filial piety. During the concerts, a Taiwanese opera troupe was invited to present a Buddhist story about the importance of cherishing all living beings. In August, continued heavy rains caused widespread flooding in southern Taiwan. Tzu Chi volunteers quickly delivered hot meals to those affected. Tzu Chi's volunteer doctors also went to serve. Apart from giving out gift cards for those affected to purchase what they needed, the volunteers also helped to clean up the houses of the elderly and visited people door to door to bring them comfort. In September, Tzu Chi held free clinics in Mexico for people affected by the earthquakes in 2017.
Y de la gente de Tlaquiltenango. Muchísimas gracias, Tzu Chi, por esta grata visita y este regalo y este apoyo que nos siguen dando.
Entonces te quiero a ti, y lo quiero a él, y lo quiero a él, y la quiero a ella. Eso es lo que nos enseña Tzu Chi.
Es otra oportunidad, la que la vida me da y las personas me brindan.
Por lo poco que yo conozco en este momento de la fundación, creo que sería de beneficio para toda la religión.
Hemos recibido mucho apoyo de parte de ustedes y yo lo siento que es gratuidad.
With Tzu Chi's help, this man was able to rebuild his home after the quakes.
Esta tarjeta, me dieron una ayuda y con esa tarjeta lo que he hecho esto.
Many locals were inspired to join Tzu Chi.
La enseñanza que te dejan vienen a demostrarnos a nosotros que sí se puede.
Me di cuenta que lo más importante en la vida es el amor, la bondad, la compasión.
Several of them came to Taiwan and took refuge in Master Zhengyan.
你我师徒，我们要共事一件事，是为天下而付出。
From that moment onwards, there have been local Tzu Chi volunteers serving those in need in Mexico.
Me gusta hacer una reverencia. Gracias.
In September, Indonesia was hit by 2 powerful earthquakes in one day. A tsunami followed, sweeping away houses in several coastal settlements. A team of Tzu Chi volunteers took a military aircraft to a worst-hit area. After supplies were flown in from Taiwan, local volunteers started to provide hot meals to quake survivors with the help of local soldiers. On the Indonesian Navy's hospital ship, the volunteers gave out cash gifts to the injured. Tzu Chi's medical volunteers also went to the disaster areas to serve. In mid-October, Tzu Chi and the military signed a memorandum to build houses for quake survivors.
Terkait dengan rencana pembangunan 3.000 rumah tersebut dan
Master Chen juga selalu filosofinya adalah mengatakan bagaimana klaster-klaster rumah itu yang kita mau bangun itu harus layak tinggal seperti yang kita mau tinggalin sendiri. Jadi betul-betul bukan asal bangun gitu.
In 2018, Tzu Chi Indonesia turned 25 years old. In 2002, when Jakarta was hit by severe flooding, Master Jungyan advised local volunteers to help with the cleanup and build houses for those affected. Now, Tzu Chi has built schools, hospitals, and a TV station in Indonesia, serving the locals regardless of race and religion.
Agamamu, agamaku, tapi you can work hard.
Itu kan cuma satu rumah beda kamar itu aja. Satu rumah beda kamar, ada kamar Islam, kamar Kristen, kamar Buddha, kamar Hindu. Ya beda, nggak sama, tapi dalam perbedaan itu kita bersaudara.
Work together to solve these global issues.
他是我们的导师吧，也可以说我们的再生父母。
In October, an express train derailed in eastern Taiwan. "18 lives were lost and over 200 were injured. Tzu Chi members immediately mobilized to help. They visited the injured in hospital, prepared hot meals for those at the crash site, and brought comfort to the victims' families. In October, the houses Tzu Chi built for quake survivors in Cananga, in Leyte, Philippines, were completed. In Ormoc, Typhoon Haiyan survivors also happily moved into their new homes. Back in 2013, Ormoc was devastated by Typhoon Haiyan. Tzu Chi volunteers quickly hired the locals to clean up their own communities. Ormoc was brought back to life. 5 years later, Tzu Chi went back to Ormoc to hold a 3-day free clinic.
Yes, very good, very good. Galang, magmahal.
很有爱心，很有爱心的意思。
Okay, you can do it, I can do it, all right?
To pay love forward, many people in Ormoc started saving a little every day to donate to Tzu Chi. After heavy rain caused flooding in Manila, Tzu Chi paid those affected to clean up the city.
Tulong na yung kwan ni Master Chen. Maraming pong salamat.
Kung lahat ng emosyon, yung nasugatan ako, nabubuga ako, napuwing ako, lahat na ng sakit parang nawala. Kasi diba, sobrang laki ng tulong.
In October, Tzu Chi Canada worked with Humber College in Toronto to open a traditional Chinese medicine clinic.
Working with the Tzu Chi Foundation, we will also provide the community with access to regulated, high-quality traditional Chinese medicine therapies.
A symposium on traditional Chinese medicine was also held. In 2016, when Alberta was hit by wildfires, Tzu Chi volunteers went to help. Starting in 2017, they further supported a program to help young students in the worst-hit area to recover psychologically from the disaster.
We pride ourselves on doing what's best for kids, and you have made all the difference in helping us with it.
To show his thanks, a mayor presented Tzu Chi a city key.
Thank you again for all the generosity you've shown our region.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure this is master.
In November, wildfires raged across California in the U.S.
It's okay, Mama. It's okay, Mama. It's okay. Just please drive.
Around 90 people were killed and nearly 20,000 houses destroyed.
I was just coming up the street to see my neighbors, and I didn't realize my house gone too.
The town of Paradise was reduced to ashes. Tzu Chi volunteers quickly delivered thermal blankets and gave out cash cards to those affected.
So, so thank you for the blankets.
Taiwan with love.
Recycle bottle. Take care.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
When you lose everything and you got someplace to turn and get a very nice, it touches my heart. You are an angel.
Across the U.S., Tzu Chi volunteers took to the streets to fundraise for the wildfire survivors in California. Disaster is temporary, but love is forever.
You know, multiple hugs, and those are the best.
We care about you.
Being able to hug somebody and them to tell you that things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
In November, Tzu Chi attended the 2018 Parliament of the World's Religions in Canada.
Epitomizes what many of these faith-based entities indeed do. You provide services to communities, and you're completely inspired by Buddhist principles.
One of the most important topics of discussion in 2018 was climate change. To help care for the earth, Tzu Chi has been promoting vegetarianism for decades.
Religions and direct the Unitarian Universalist United Nations office. I've also taken refuge with the Dharma Master Chen Yan. Welcome, fellow travelers, to this blue boat home, our tiny, fragile blue planet. It's my honor and privilege to introduce to you the Dharma Master of the Buddhist Tzu Chi Foundation. Our Mother Earth is suffering. The Tzu Chi Buddhist Foundation and the Unitarian Universalist United Nations office promote ethical eating, which means a plant-based diet whenever possible, to save the planet and sentient beings. Entire species of plants and animals are being annihilated at an alarming rate due to our careless handling of this planet. Master Chen Yan carries Buddha's teachings to care for the earth from her abode in Hualien, Taiwan to the world.
We are sorry for earthquake.
هذا سيكون آخر زلزال. أنا أحبكم جدا. شاشة تايوان.
كما ورد في القرآن الكريم إن جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان.
نشكركم جزيل الشكر لأنكم وقفتم معنا وسوف نقف معكم إن شاء الله. كان بدي أشتري بالمصاري لابتوب بس قالوا لنا إنه تايوان صار عندهم زلزال أم حبيت أتبرع لهم.
احنا بنحبكم كتير كتير ومنا نساعدكم زي ما ساعدتونا وقبلوا مني هالهدية واحنا بنشكركم كتير.